Cariappa is a man known for many firsts, but most importantly, he is known for as the man who took charge of Indian Army from its last British Commander-in-Chief, General Roy Burker. Today, we are going to know more about the Field Marshal KM Cariappa. Kodandera Madappa Cariappa was born on 28 January 1898 in Shivarasanthi, Kodagu to a family of farmers belonging to Kodandera clan. His father Madappa worked with the revenue department. Cariappa was the second child in a family of 4 sons and 2 daughters. He was known as Chima to his relatives. After completing his education in Central High School at Madikeri in 1917, he attended Presidency College, Chennai to pursue further education. During college, he learned that Indians were being recruited into the army and that they were being trained in India. As he wished to serve as a soldier, he applied for the training. Of the 70 applicants, Cariappa was one of the 42 who were finally granted admission into the Delhi Cadet College, Indore. He scored well in all aspects of his training and graduated 7th in his class. Cariappa graduated on 1st December 1919 and was granted a temporary commission. Subsequently, a permanent commission was granted on 9 September 1922 with effect from 17 July 1920. This was done to make Cariappa's rank junior to officers who passed out from Royal Military College, Sandhurst on July 16, 1920. He was commissioned into the 2nd Battalion of the 88th Carnatic Infantry at Bombay as a temporary first lieutenant. Later, he was transferred to the 125 Napier Rifles, which moved to present-day Iraq in May 1920. He was promoted to lieutenant on 17 July 1921 and on his return to India, Cariappa was posted to 37th Prince of Wales Own Doggers in June 1922. In June 1923, Cariappa was transferred to 17th Rajputs, which became his permanent regimental home. In 1925, Cariappa went on a world tour to Europe as well as United States, Japan and China. He met large number of soldiers and civilians in various nations. The tour provided to be educational for him. After this, he was able to settle down. He was given the nickname Kipper by British officer's wife who found his name difficult to pronounce while he was serving in Fatehgarh. In 1927, Cariappa was promoted to captain, but the appointment was not officially gazetted until 1931. Cariappa was appointed as the Deputy Assistant Quartermaster General at HQ Peshawar district in 1931. The experience he had gained at the headquarters, his coaching at Royal Unit Services Institute in 1932, and the courses he attained in Small Arms School and the Royal School of Artillery helped him to get through the Quetta Staff College entrance examination. He was the first Indian military officer to attend the course. Though officers were generally given staff appointments after completion of the course, Cariappa was not given his staff appointment until 2 years later. Until then, he rendered regimental service with his parent unit on Northwest Frontier. In March 1936, he was appointed as staff captain of the Deccan area. In 1938, Cariappa was promoted to major and was appointed the Deputy Assistant Adjutant and Quartermaster General. In 1939, the Skene Committee was set up to examine the options for the Indianization of the Indian Army's officers' rank. As Cariappa was one of the most senior Indian officers with about 19 years of ex-service, committee held several discussions with him. He expressed his displeasure at the treatment of Indian officers in the army. He stressed the discrimination shown towards Indian officers in terms of appointments, promotion, benefits and allowances to which the European officers were entitled, but Indian officers were not. After World War II began, Cariappa was posted as Brigade Major to 20th Indian Brigade stationed in Derajat. He served in Iraq, Iran, Syria in 1941-42 and then in Burma in 1943-44. On 15th April 1942, he was promoted to acting lieutenant colonel and appointed commanding officer of the same battalion, receiving the advancement to temporary lieutenant colonel on 15 July. With this appointment, he became the first Indian to command a battalion in the Indian Army. Cariappa was successful in stabilizing the newly raised battalion in terms of administration, training and handling of arms. Later, the unit was rechristened as the 52nd Rajput and was put under the 43rd Indian Armored Division. Within a span of few months, the unit observed 2 transformations and 2 moves. First, the battalion's machine guns were replaced with tanks in order to convert it into an armored regiment. But soon the battalion was reverted to infantry and redesigned as 17 by 7 Rajputs. Subsequently, it was moved to Sikandrabad. This move led to unrest among the unit troops, which was successfully handled by Cariappa. Post-independence, Cariappa was appointed as Deputy Chief of the General Staff. In November 1947, on being promoted to the rank of Lieutenant General, he was appointed as the Eastern Army Commander. In January 1948, owing to the worsening situation in Kashmir, Cariappa was called back to the capital and appointed as the General Officer Command-in-Chief, Delhi and East Punjab Command. After taking over the command, he immediately renamed it as Western Command and moved its headquarters to Jammu. He subsequently raised a corps headquarters under Lieutenant General S.M. Sri Nagesh at Udhampur. He appointed Lieutenant General Kodandera Subbaiah Timmaiah as the General Officer Command Jammu and Kashmir Force, later 19th Division, and Atma Singh as General Officer of Command Jammu Division, later 25th Division. He launched three subsequent attacks, Operation Kipper, Easy and Bisin, to capture Naushera, Jangar, Pooch, Zojila, Dras and Kargil areas. Plans were laid out to drive out Pakistani forces from Kashmir completely, but they were stopped by intervention of United States. Only 6 July 1948, the Army headquarters issued strict instruction against conducting any major operation without permission. Cariappa protested against this, stating that this policy would threaten Leh, Kargil and ultimately the Kashmir Valley, which would put the country's security at stake. Though Cariappa asked for 2 brigades to continue the offensive strike, he was provided only one and permitted to advance to Kargil. He disobeyed orders and launched strikes in Ladakh area, allowing India to assert control over the region. Cariappa continued the several operation and offensive strike against the Pakistanis, which involved high risk. Failure of any of them might have threatened the Indian forces. He was subsequently appointed to supreme post of Commander-in-Chief. When Lieutenant General Sir Roy Butcher's appointment as the Commander-in-Chief of the Indian Army was about to expire in January 1949, it was decided to replace him with Indian. Cariappa, Sri Nagesh and Nathu Singh were the contenders for the post. Though Sri Nagesh was 6 months older than Cariappa, he had not served as long as Cariappa had. Nathu Singh had served 2.5 years less. But the interim government's Defence Minister Baldev Singh was not in favour of Cariappa. He contacted Sri Nagesh and Nathu Singh asking for their opinion of being appointed as Commander-in-Chief. Since both of them declined the offer, Cariappa took over as the first native Commander-in-Chief of the Indian Army. The day Cariappa took over the reins of the Indian Army in 15 January 1949 was marked as Official Army Day and was celebrated annually. As the Chief of the Army, Cariappa was instrumental in formation of Territorial Army in the 1949. Though the National Cadet Corps had been already formed in 1948, it was Cariappa who extended support during its formative years. These two complementary branches of the army later proved to be very helpful in the wars India fought in later years. Several measures taken by Cariappa, such as his refusal to induct former Indian National Army personnel into the army, kept the organization out of political affairs and maintained its autonomy. In INA's slogan Jai Hind, which means victory to India, was adopted by Cariappa, and later it became a formal praise between personnel to greet each other. He also turned down the proposal to reserve vacancies in the army for scheduled castes and scheduled tribes as had been done in other government services. After 4 years of service in the Commander-in-Chief, Cariappa retired on 14 January 1953. Before he retired, he made a farewell visit to his parent regiment, Rajput Regiment. At the Rajput Regimental Centre, accompanied by his son and daughter, Rajendra Singhji Jadeja succeeded him as Commander-in-Chief. Cariappa was married in March 1937 in Secunderabad to Muthu Machia, a forest officer's daughter. Though their married life was happy initially, later due to an age gap of almost 17 years, ideological differences and Cariappa's professional commitments, their marriage broke down. In September 1945, the couple separated without any formal divorce. 3 years later, Muthu died in an accident. Cariappa and Muthu had a son, KC Cariappa, and daughter Nalini. Their son joined the Indian Air Force and rose to the rank of Air Marshal. Cariappa's alliance with the Indian Army was spread over a period of 3 decades, during which he had a broad experience of staff and command work. After his retirement in 1953, he served as Indian High Commissioner to Australia and New Zealand under 1956. With a view towards ex-servicemen's welfare, Cariappa founded the Indian Ex-Servicemen League in 1964. He was also instrumental in setting up a Directorate of Resettlement, an inter-service organization under the Department of Ex-Servicemen Welfare, Ministry of Defence, that looked after the various issues surrounding the resettlement of retired soldiers, especially those who retired young. Cariappa took part in reorganization of armed forces in many foreign countries. He was awarded the Legion of Merit in degree of Chief Commander by the American President Harry S. Truman. Cariappa also tried his luck in politics after a lot of persuasion from his friends and admirers. He contested the 1971 Lok Sabha poll from Mumbai North East but came third. As a mark of recognition for the commendable service rendered by him to the nation, the Government of India confirmed the rank of Field Marshal on Cariappa on 28 April 1986 at the special investiture ceremony held at Rashtrapati Bhavan. Cariappa's health began to deteriorate in 1991. He suffered from arthritis and heart problems. He died in his sleep on May 15, 1993 at the Bangalore Command Hospital, where he had been receiving treatment for a few years. His mortal remains were cremated in Madikeri 2 days later. The cremation was attended by 3 service chiefs along with the Field Marshal Sam Manekshaw. The awards Cariappa received were as follows: General Service Medal of 1947, Indian Independence Medal, Order of the British Empire, Burma Star, War Medal of 1939 to 1945, Indian Service Medal and Legion of Merit, Chief Commander Medal. Some of the decorations which he received were as follows: